If you have ever wondered why adult children go no contact with their parents, this video is for you. So let's get going. Today's a serious subject and we're going to jump into some behavioral psychology, and it's going to be in two parts. Part one will be why adult children go no contact. This used to be called being estranged or estrangement, but more recently people have been using the term no contact. And part two is the difference in what the parents actually think is the reason for this. Now let me be clear about one point before we get started, and that is that this is about the no contact, not what's called gray rocking. And if you don't know what that is, let me show you really quick. The gray rock method is a technique used to deal with toxic or abusive people by making oneself uninteresting and unengaging. The goal is to disengage without ending contact and to avoid feeding into the other person's tendencies. Here we go. Part one, why adult children go no contact. There are many reasons for this. We're only going to focus on a couple. But today I'm going to show you the three biggest reasons that adult children report. Number one is abuse. This one is kind of obvious because this happens very regularly. It could start out when they're children. It could progress even through their adolescent years and even as adults. But one of the big reasons that adult children say they do this is they're done with the abuse and they're going to separate themselves. The next one is what's called toxicity, which could be hurtfulness, cruelty, or lack of respect for the person themselves. And this one is brought up quite a bit in conjunction with the third reason, which is feeling unsupported or unaccepted. Because many times there is a discrepancy in the values or beliefs. Generally speaking, the children were raised with a certain set of beliefs and values, and maybe those children have moved away from those same beliefs and those same values as they've gotten older. So as you can see, many times when you talk to the adult children, they speak specifically of things that the parents have done. Now let's see what it is that the parents believe are the reasons for this to happen. Part two, the difference in what their parents actually think. Now, the interesting thing here is that parents generally don't like to blame their children. Some do, but the vast majority do not. They look for other scapegoats. So a very common one is to blame third-party influence. If there's been a separation in a primary relationship, they could say, well, you know what? My kids just don't like my new partner. It could be that they believe that maybe it's the in-laws have done something that's got a wedge between them and their kids. It could be that they're blaming a therapist. It could be that they're blaming their own friends. But it's generally, in this particular point, a third-party influence. Now, on the flip side, the parents will sometimes blame the adult kids' friends. So instead of blaming their own friends, which was the first point, they're now blaming the adult child's friends. This is where you hear the term, they turned my child against me. This is extremely common when they don't want to say that there's actually a disconnect between themselves and the adult children. And then sometimes number three happens, and that is they say they're unsure. I just don't know why my kids don't talk to me. Now, as a caveat, sometimes the parents will lean into blaming their children if nothing else will work and nothing else seems to fit. And this is where they come up with the idea that the children are punishing them. And they will usually say something like, my kids won't talk to me, they won't come around because of something that they think that I did or something that they perceive that I did. Now, it's a much deeper subject than what I have time to go into today, but you can clearly see that there is a huge disconnect. The adult children are saying one thing and the parents are thinking something completely different. So the one piece of advice that I would give to the adult children is this. Clearly explain your reasons to your parents, even if they might not listen or believe what you are saying. Clarity is extremely helpful here. They may reject it, they may push back on it, but if you're open and honest about what the problem is, it will solve a lot of additional differences moving forward. All right, guys, I hope this one was helpful for you. Do me a favor, click on one of these other videos. I'll be back very soon in the next one. See you then.